what the tariffs taketh, or what China taketh, oil and gas are given back. So look, I have a couple 100,000 square feet of retail, office, industrial rentals, and are some of my tenants experiencing some scares and some troubles? Yeah, absolutely they are. But what's interesting is, just how things can work out. So I had one tenant that flat out is pulling out. And they were probably going to do it anyways, but I think the concerns over the tariffs made it a little bit easier for them to say, you know what, we're out. Hey, by the way, let me know that you can hear the audio okay, somebody? I'm working with these new headphones, microphones. But just to give you an example, also I want to tell you, listen, this is a seasoned pro, if you will, as an investor for the last 44 years. And, it's wonderful because I'm teaching my son now. He's 21. And the lessons he's getting by being nearby, and the people in my mentorship, same thing. It's just so valuable. It's especially in tough times. Believe me, you've already been seeing a lot of the fakes and the people that pretend to have experience. All of a sudden they're pushing other people's products, or they're patting each other on the back, and they're trying to sell anything and everything they possibly can. But what I'm going to tell you is the experience survived this sort of stuff. And I've had more than 20,000 square feet change tenancy, and I got it covered within a week. In other words, losing 6,000 feet, got it replaced with somebody else. Got 4,000 square feet lost, already taken by somebody else. Got almost 8,000 square feet. Got notice on it. I've got people moving in, taking over immediately. In other words, I'm not going to lose a dime. Moving a couple of, just a little bit of paint, not much. It's like nothing in the scheme of things. Not losing any money on rent either. In other words, no decreases in rent. But I'll tell you, one of the things is you really have to, treat your tenants like customers, and you'll have them forever. That I promise you. And all of the like I said, these are all customers that I've had. Some I've had for over 12 years. That they got to modify. They're concerned. One's downsizing, another one completely up, another one expanding, and that's the oil and gas, right? I have a company that's oil and gas related, and in fact, they basically have doubled their size and may just come up about 50% again of what they got. We're talking about a big tenant. We're talking big money. We're talking lease worth millions of dollars, and that is really I'm not going to say I'm lucky, because it's never been luck. In fact, I'm going by one of my buildings right now. If I can show it to you, I'll show it to you real quick. I'll show you a little bit of it. This little building here, and I'm not going to show you. I don't want to show the name of it. This little building here. This is a beautiful building, and you can see the overpass. This is next to a freeway, and I'm telling you, that is an example of, and this is going back to this idiotic city that I'm in. Just rolled out the red carpet for homeless to basically to camp anywhere and everywhere. They look at San Francisco as their heroes, the most screwed up city in the country. And but we killed it with a petition, and we got them to back off and go away. But my point is it's the things you need to do and when to do them that make you really almost bulletproof as an investor. And like I say, believe me, 44 years is, it's because I started so young that I'm as experienced as I am and as young as I am. But I've been a super aggressive investor for all these years, and it pays. The experience, and my students are becoming millionaires right in front of me. It's a very rewarding thing for me to have students that are making 10,000, 100,000, and a million. And two of them making multiple millions this month, and you'll be hearing about them. Spoil our deals by talking too early, right? You got a treasure map, you don't share it. There's a lot of goofy communities out there that act like making money in real estate is like just a big fun club. Well, it's not. That's a joke. You don't share your treasure map, not even with friends, right? Anyways, I don't even know if you guys can see me. Is the chat going? I don't see any chat popping up. Probably just as well. But anyways, I just want to tell you guys that are watching, don't give up. Listen, if you're new and you're just starting, go get my book. It costs you $10, right? Get it on Audible and get paperback. It costs you $30. Do that before you go through thousands or tens of thousands. That looks like he barely shaves, and he's going to claim he's got a hack or he knows how to do everything. It's stupid. It's impossible to have that kind of experience. In fact, I think it was maybe somebody can help me. It was Oliver Wilde or something, but basically said the youth betrays the experience, and that's the truth. You'll see people, their youth betrays what's coming out of their mouth. It's like saying you fought in World War II, when you're 30 years old. It's impossible, right? It's just stupid. And so, and then there's actually a bit of stolen valor when people make claims to have done things that they've never done before. And there's a lot of fake gurus that do that too. So, anyways, I just want to tell you, get the book. There's a lot of horrible information out there. Be the smart guy that you can trust but verify, right? Trust but verify. You have to if you're going to be successful in this business, anyways. So I'll just let her go there, but and then I'll play this back and see if any of it even worked. I don't know why the phone's not popping up. Oh no! Now I see one finally. Investment. Ironwood. You think the economy has a tough couple of years? But there's always deals in real estate. Yeah, so I would agree with that, Ironwood. But here's the deal: listen. It's like a lot of people say, "I'm just going to let go and let God," right? Let God. Listen, look, God really graces people to take care of themselves. Okay, you have to work. You have to make it happen. You can't just you have some serious things maybe you can't have control over. That statement is true. But when it comes to picking yourself up, getting to work, making things happen, and like I love pointing to Ben Mala. Ben Mala, who hasn't been investing as long as I have, and he wouldn't have made some of the mistakes that he's made if he had been. I believe that's God's honest truth, because he didn't start as early as I did. He didn't respect the interest rates, and now he's getting burned by them. But is he a fantastically experienced guy? Absolutely. Is he very successful? Of course he is. But I'm telling you, when you got experience that goes back 40 years, it makes a difference. You've seen things that nobody else has seen. Those of you that are investors right now that are seeing what happened here, this is the first time I've seen what we've had to deal with here. We've had a president with dementia. We've had, we had the big hoax, the pandemic hoax. And everybody got a free shot that cost the taxpayers $400 a shot, and many of our elected officials got rich as a result off of inside trading. And so this is just a fact. You got to understand the government, and this is why I'm very careful about making predictions ever, is that you've got politicians are the scum of the earth, the most self-serving people there is. And I'm talking both sides. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Both sides are scum. And, but we, they are, the influence that is bought. This is why 50 years we've been getting the bad deal on the tariffs. We have to do this tariff. We have to do this tariff thing. We have to adjust things. But we have been getting screwed. And I know I own companies that I've been taking products to and from all over the country, right? But China, I've been to China. I've seen, where'd I go? I went to Ningbo, China, and I came up to what was a giant sea of green. I didn't know. I thought, what is it? Everything's so green. What am I coming up to? When I get up to it, it's a sea of John Deere tractors. And then I went into a 1 million square foot facility myself because I was having stuff made for one of the companies I own, and I couldn't believe it. There was handbags, in piles bigger than my car, with a single person with a sewing machine. But there was, like, if you can imagine, like a football field and more, like the whole stadium almost, full of sewing machines, and next to each sewing machine was a pile of bags as big as a car. Well, I walked through this because they're really very hospitable. When you go to China or Taiwan, they're rolling out the red carpet. They're trying to show you what they can do for you if you manufacture, or if you make stuff or import stuff, which I have, and so you're going there and you're looking at bags made by Sony and Panasonic and names you never heard of. But then you start to see, you see characters, of the alphabet that you can't even identify. You don't know what the hell it is. They supply the entire world with cheap stuff. And so right now, believe me, we are in a great position. The fact that we're saying reciprocal, or fuck it, reciprocal. And believe me, people in China they're having a tough time. And believe me, there's alternatives to China, because a lot of the people that are within my my tenants, right? I have hundreds of tenants. They're not feeling the China thing at all. Some are, but most aren't. And because there's a lot of the people that I have, the alternatives, they're getting from Vietnam, and Vietnam's getting along well. It's not a big deal. Got a 10% bump. They can deal with that. But for the people that are getting hit with the tariffs in China, it's okay. Listen, consider it a war, but instead of having to send our sons and daughters, into battle, we all just get a hunker down, and that sounds like the best kind of war we could have, right? Where we just kind of stick together, and nobody gets killed, but it'll be rough. So Ironwood wrote, Tom, I still use your binder, LOL. Oh, well, Ironwood, obviously you've been through the class. That's great. The fundamentals don't change. Absolutely correct. So I didn't even know Ironwood is one of my students. Remember, starting now will be better off because of the challenges. Yeah. Listen, I started in 10% interest rates. Was I crying? Was I complaining? No. I didn't know any better. That was just okay. It was okay. They were coming down actually from, I think, like the high teens. So yeah, no, there's opportunity everywhere, and I'm just telling you, young people, I don't get much of an audience, not because I don't follow the protocol of keeping your mouth shut about everything political. But what I'm trying to tell you is, there's a huge opportunity out there, and the sooner you get started, the better. Don't go throwing thousands of dollars at a course. Read a little. Get my book. Cost you $10. I'll read it to you on Audible, and you'll become a fantastic investor, and you'll be a millionaire in a few years. There's no reason. I got the proof. I'll show you. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. Take a look at all the millionaires in my class, and young millionaires, right? Well, people who haven't even had a kid yet, or I got people in their 30s with 4 kids that are multimillionaires. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Ironwood, you'll have to write me at Tom at FlipAnything USA. I don't know, or you can just put it in here. I don't know which student you are. I don't know that handle, Ironwood. But hey, everybody, thanks so much for watching, and please hit that subscribe button or not. I really care about is educating you that are really, really interested in being educated. That's all I care about. I don't care about, believe me, quality, not quantity. We'll see y'all later.